All right, cheers.
Cheers.
So,
Waters.
yeah, water, which if it's bad luck, well, I guess
Too late.
I've made that bet. So, we're in person. We're in Chicago.
IRL.
Exciting. This is our
Yes.
second one now, so that's pretty
It
cool.
is cold as hell.
It's
Here.
very
Like Austin.
cold. Right.
Yeah, just like Austin.
Yeah, what was it when you left?
It was
Temperature.
like in the 50s, I think, when I left.
Beach weather.
Beach weather.
Wow.
Compared to this.
Yeah, this is not fun. It's windy and cold for anyone wondering. So let's get to our first topics. What's happening in the world? What should we talk about?
Okay, I want to talk about Saltburn. I don't
Okay.
know if it's too late. I feel like I don't know if it's still
it's
super
lingering.
topical, but we have not talked about it yet. And Kaleigh and I both saw it and loved it.
Yeah.
You have not seen it. You don't know anything about
I don't know
it.
what it is.
You don't know anything
Is it a
about
show?
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
How have you missed?
I just don't know.
I feel
I'm like
everybody-
either or reading books or watching just a show that I'm watching and I'm committed and it's
Yeah.
my show.
Okay. It kind of came out because it was released a few months ago, right?
What is it on?
I think it's
Prime? Now it's on
Prime,
Prime.
yeah.
But it was released in theaters a few months ago, and I didn't hear anything about it until it hit Prime. And then I think more people started watching it, and they were like, what the fuck is this?
What
Yeah.
is the TLDR of this?
You want to take that one?
Oh, man.
It's hard. Well,
Should we
spoiler
avoid
alert, first of
spoilers?
all.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hear the spoilers, fast forward, I guess.
Fill in the inevitable holes that I will leave in my explanation.
That's kind of the summary, really, of the movie.
Who's in it?
So
First of
it's
all.
got
Jacob
Elordi.
Elordi,
Oh,
super
okay.
tall guy from
Yeah.
Euphoria.
Yeah. And
I don't know what the little guy's name is.
I don't either. The main character. He's been in a lot of stuff. This is not helpful.
Not helpful.
We're making no progress.
But it was written and directed by, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name.
But she did Promising Young Woman.
Promising Young
You guys don't know
Woman.
anything about this movie.
Okay. Not a
We
good
haven't even started
topic.
describing the plot. It's essentially about this guy befriends this super wealthy guy at where are they, in
Oxford?
college. Yeah, Oxford, and gets pretty obsessed with him and his family and the whole like wealthy of it all.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was going to be more of this kind of coming of age, like he's pining after Jacob Elordi's character.
Like Call Me By Your Name,
Yeah.
something like that. 'Cause that's kind of the vibe you get.
Interesting.
They're at this sprawling, beautiful estate in the countryside because he invites him to come with him for his holiday or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so hesitant to give away
I know.
I'm probably not. ever
I will
gonna
just
watch
say it takes a real twist.
Does he try to kill him?
He does.
He does.
I saw
kills
that
his
coming a
whole
mile away.
family.
kills his whole family.
Oh, he goes through
And so
with it.
then he becomes the owner of the estate.
Yeah.
And like inherits all of their
How?
wealth.
Was he written into the will?
He made it so
Yeah.
that he was
shit.
master manipulator the whole
So
time.
you find out
That
at
does
the
sound
end
good.
that he befriended the guy because he already had this plan in place.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And
it's very graphic though. It's
Ooh.
some of the scenes,
Like
especially
Quentin Tarantino graphic?
not bloody, but just like brutal,
Well,
just
the-
like savage.
The big one that people talk about is Jacob Elordi masturbates in the bathtub, and then the guy drinks the bathwater.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then
That's just like not even.
when they bury Jacob Elordi, he fucks his grave.
Yeah. He
And-
like gets naked and fucks the dirt.
What
Yeah,
the hell?
it's pretty weird. It's so,
I feel bad saying I loved it, but it was just like, it was really good storytelling. It was
Yeah.
beautifully shot, perfect casting. It did a lot of things right. So while the subject matter is bizarre
Yeah.
and not my favorite, it
Interesting.
just did a good job.
I liked it because, well, going into it, I was kind of scared it was going to be one of those movies that are like weird for this, just for the sake of being weird or
just to
to be
stand out.
pretentious.
Yeah.
But it was done so well, and it was still very unique and weird, but it was also like funny and just
Yeah.
so entertaining.
Where did they get Saltburn?
It's the name of the
It's
estate.
the name of the family's estate. Yeah.
Interesting.
yeah.
Anyway,
Speaking of other big movies, though, the new Mean Girls comes out. I think this now
yeah.
Musical.
this weekend.
Yeah.
Right. So it seems to me like they've tied in pieces of the musical. They've tried to update it because the world has changed so much since it was first released. What was that, like 20 years ago?
yeah,
I can't believe that.
I think 2004.
Have you guys seen it?
No, not
I
yet.
have no desire.
Getting mixed, mixed reviews.
To me, why would you remake it? Like it is what it is. It was canon at the time.
Yeah.
Like sure, the cafeteria tables don't exist anymore, but like it was perfect as it is.
100%.
I just hate the remake premise.
Have y'all ever seen? I don't even know anything about the actual musical because they did make it into a broader
I saw
musical.
a clip of someone filming in the theater. And when she starts singing, I think it was the same setting where he turns around and asks for a pencil or asks what day it is or whatever, and she starts singing, and the whole theater is like, "Oh God, it's hilarious! It is hilarious." I'm like, yeah, why would you take something, first of all, remake it, and then add a musical element to it? You're just like ruining it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna see it just out of curiosity and just like have to see it.
But are you a musical person in general? Do you like musicals?
I don't hate them, but I'm not like a musical person.
Right.
I liked High School Musical. I loved High School Musical.
I fucking love High School Musical. But also, I was like 14, and I was
gonna say I was too old for that, but you're older than me.
Nobody's too old for that.
I was in college, so
I love Broadway
still
musicals,
a young adult.
but like movie
blossoming.
musicals, just like I don't want to sit and I just don't.
I don't like it. I'm like, why are you singing? You should be speaking.
To me, that's just, you lost the bet from the beginning. You're remaking a classic and then adding a musical element to it for an audience that likely is not watching musicals anyway.
Right. And probably thinks they're so cringe.
Probably, because they are.
Love that. Gen Z.
I know.
I do want to continue the movie theme, though. It's not on our agenda. I saw Godzilla -1. I'm going to take this in a different direction.
All right, pivoting.
Everyone, all of our 12 listeners know that Austin is a massive Godzilla fan. Drag me to the movie. I loved it. I loved it so much. I think everyone should see it.
Why? Tell us why.
Well, it's a Japanese movie, so there are subtitles. So that alone got me like, I'm going to be just like watching these words. The cinematography and the way that they shot it, it was like going back to when movies were like actually good and not just made weird or good or whatever for the sake of it. Like the storyline, I know an absurd amount about Godzilla because I live with a fan, so maybe it's just like contextually it made sense to me, but it just was so well done. And like there was no CGI except for obviously Godzilla himself had to be, but like it just felt like it was so natural, and it wasn't super fast moving. So like all the movies today that you need CGI for, I feel like they're just so fast and so fantastical because it's just like the way that things are. But yeah, I would definitely say you guys should go see that.
Surprise recommendation.
That was my first movie in theater in like a year.
Really?
Man. Because I'm like, I'm not going to go see this weird shit.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of another question I had too, is like, are you an at-home movie person or do you like going to the theater?
I love the theater. I just like have to know it's good because then you're like stuck there.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you pay like $40 nowadays to go see it.
Yeah.
Definitely a theater girl, and almost to the point where I don't necessarily care if the movie's even good or not.
Really?
I just like the experience of going and like
I do love
getting
the
your little
experience.
snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love going in the summer when it's really hot out because it's so icy in there and dark. I don't know. I was probably like a bat in a past life or something.
Oh my God.
Because I'm just like, oh, that sounds so nice.
You're like hanging upside down.
from the ceiling.
I'm pretty sure
It's
before
fine.
this movie, the last movie I saw in theaters was A Star is Born.
Oh,
What?
that was a
Oh my
good theater
God.
movie,
It
though.
was
Yeah.
a great
That
theater
was,
movie.
you had to see that in theaters.
That was what, like 2019?
That was a long time
before the
ago.
pandemic.
Pre-COVID,
Do y'all remember the Star is Born meme era? All the memes.
Oh, yes,
They were
of
so good.
course.
I
With
miss-
him rolling down the window.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get another look at you. There were so many. There were so many.
Good. Oh my God.
Speaking of movies, we already used
Again.
that transition. The Golden Globes just happened. There were two things that really stood out to me. Number one, The Bear was listed as a comedy.
Insanity.
I don't like that.
No.
Did you see The Bear?
Yeah, it kind of has comedic
You think? Even,
undertone. I wouldn't classify it as a comedy, but there's like, it's like a dramedy.
it's so dramatic,
Yeah.
especially season 2.
Yeah.
That was heavy.
I definitely
Not a lot of
would've-
levity.
expected it to be in the drama. Also, did y'all see May December? Okay.
Yeah.
That was also listed as a comedy.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't laugh once.
How? No, there was nothing funny.
And I didn't really care for the movie, and a lot of people loved it. And I was just like,
No, I did not like it at all.
There wasn't enough words. Do you ever see a movie where there's not enough dialogue in it and so you're just left to fill in the blanks? I get that that's art, but I'm also like, tell me what's happening.
I feel like it's a good example of...
You can't see it, so someone needs to tell you.
Tell me. God. What is happening? Why are we doing this? I paid money to be here and watch this. You have to talk, do your part.
Hey, I'm the one that needs subtitles even with English because my snacks are too loud.
Oh, well, that's a problem. That's a problem.
We're eating rocks.
Popcorn, chips,
Crunchy stuff.
popcorn.
Ever heard of it? Popcorn?
Yes.
It's loud.
Yes.
Inside your head and outside.
Also, I don't know if you guys realize this now, but like at home, I feel like the music and the like title sequence music is so loud, and they like cut to like the first scene, and they're like, and I'm like, what are they saying? My ears aren't working. I can't read.
I know, and then you got to blast the volume, and
Yes.
you switch it back, and then you blow your eardrums.
Welcome to our complaining podcast.
It's really cold. It's making us cranky.
Bitching session. Okay, Golden Globes. What else is
Yes,
happening?
Golden Globes. The other thing that was really funny, not funny, but I guess it was something interesting, was that Gillian or Gillian Anderson from...
I've always said Jillian Anderson.
Okay, whichever it is. She wore this beautiful white strapless dress, but it had vaginas embroidered all over it. And I think it was a nod to her show Sex Education, but it made me think, like, the other thing I've noticed is that Sydney Sweeney, with this new movie, Anyone But You, she's been sharing a ton on social media and reposting it. And so these like forms of promotion for their projects, do you think that that's part of their contracts, or do you think they just do it?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's part of their contracts.
Especially given their following on social
Or
media.
like a commission-based structure or something, if it does well.
Or maybe they get like stake in the movie, or they get part ownership of the, or part dividends of the profits, or whatever you'd say, if they participate in the marketing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like,
it's
I mean,
smart.
that's probably why they staffed Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney, because they're so well known from like Top Gun 2, Euphoria. They're already known. They're like, okay, we're going to ride this wave. Like, I don't think I want to see that movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think I would have the desire if I didn't recognize the lead actors.
Yeah, very strategic.
I think it's part of their contract, because I mean, it's part of their contracts to do like press tours and stuff, and I think that's just like a new version of doing a press.
I just wonder how they monetize it. Like, is it if it does this well, you get a cut of the profits? Is it like, is it super structured where there's a contract? Like, we need you to repost for X amount of days.
I don't know.
I'm just so curious what that looks like on the backside. And I'm not going to find out, but
Why not?
We'll ask somebody.
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney.
Listeners, tell us what's happening.
Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn, get at
If you're
us.
listening.
Okay, so what have we learned lately, and what questions does it raise? The first one I wanted to talk about was a tweet that I saw last week. So this person said, I'm at my best when I'm in a state of desire. It's one of my gauges to know I'm not depressed. I want to want perpetually. Nothing is more invigorating than letting sheer possibility consistently replenish your wells of energy. Life is meant to be lived first, meditated on second. That's a really hot and spicy take, which is perfect for Twitter. I'm sure that that's why this person tweeted it, because it's like you either agree or you absolutely don't.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know what you guys thought, because I had a very strong knee-jerk reaction to that.
This was like an OG tweet. Like, it wasn't a quote from someone.
No, it was just somebody's random musing that popped into their head.
I think there is some truth to it, because I don't know that I would use the word desire, but I do think that like you're happier or more content when there's always kind of like something else that you're trying to get or achieve. Or
Yes, I think that was the sentiment.
Yeah.
But that's not how I read it. But I don't know what you think.
I'm reading two different things. The first two sentences, stated desire, I want to want perpetually. So the first half of it is like, I want to always be working towards something. I want to always be wanting something like a carrot ahead of me, you know? But the second half, nothing is more invigorating than letting sheer possibility. Sheer possibility to me is more representative of like hope or like a positive mindset. And I don't see the desire and then like the positive mindset as the same thing.
Oh,
so I guess you
interesting.
could, in like a very specific way, view this as one goal. But nothing is more invigorating than letting sheer possibility consistently replenish your wells of energy. That to me is not saying wanting something keeps me going. That's saying like, I'm fascinated by how much is possible in the world. Like I'm very hopeful. I'm just positive that like good things will happen. And that keeps me from being depressed.
Yeah.
That's when I first read it. I was like, these aren't the same thing to me.
Right. But it's so interesting because I read it and took a totally different meaning.
Really?
So when I read it, I thought of like consumerism and like overworking and ambition to a fault and all of these things. And I was like, I don't think any of that's true.
Yeah.
Like I want to always want, basically, to me just seems like a cup that can never be filled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I took it as like, oh, I absolutely don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But then I was also like, well, I see the other side of, if, like you said, the carrot, that gives you something to work towards. But yeah, it's so interesting when you read something like that and it can be split through the prism so many different ways for meaning.
Yeah, because you're right. Like that
it could mean that too.
100%.
That could never be
But I
filled.
wonder
Depends
what the
on
writer's
you're
intent
wanting.
was.
Yeah.
To me, it's like we just talked about being strength people, driven by ambition, active. That's representative of this to me. It could be one way of taking this is like, I'm at my best when I'm in a state of desire. I'm at my best when I'm working toward a goal, working towards something that I want. I have something that's shaping all my decisions and shaping my discipline and keeping me moving forward. But it could also mean like a state of desire. I have a vacation coming up in 3 months and now I'm not depressed.
Right.
Like, there's so many
Which
ways
is
of seeing
very
this.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I operate in a major way that way. I feel like when I have trips on the horizon or like projects that I'm working on or deadlines, all of those help me move forward. However, I do think it's a super slippery slope because if that's what your gauge is for not being depressed, you're never content because you're constantly striving. And I feel like I've done that and I'm so tired from it. So now I'm like, I don't want to want.
Have you
I
guys
don't
ever
want to
heard-
want anymore.
Have you guys ever heard of the I guess it would be a phenomenon, ennui, ENNUI. It's just like that feeling of languishing when you don't have purpose.
Right, where you're just like,
super like
who
wealthy
cares?
people. I think that's usually the context in which I've heard the phrase used. To me, it's like, in that sense, it makes sense. Like, what if you don't have anything that you need or want? Like, what if you don't have a purpose or a goal and you just like existing? It doesn't surprise me that you might feel depressed. So I think it's like some kind of happy medium between like where you've been, where I'm probably at right now, where you might be at, and then this place of like, I don't need or want anything. I'm just like existing and like watching TV and traveling and just like spending money and not doing anything. That doesn't sound fulfilling either.
Right. Which is kind of a tie into Saltburn too, because that family kind of exists in that state to bring it back around.
Interesting.
They're very like ennui people. They're just like, oh, you know, they have no stresses, no worries. Yeah. People are just kind of like
a little bit of pressure.
Toys to them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a dangerous state, you know? It's like a very fine line to walk.
I'm curious what y'all think about,
The
because
last
even the
sentence?
last sentence
I know.
feels super separate.
It's like
from
a
the rest of
third
it.
element.
Yeah. But what do y'all think about that? Life is meant to be lived first, meditated on second.
Well, we kind of talked about this at lunch before we came here, which is the fact that like all the time we're making decisions and that possibility spider webs out in a million different directions based on what choice did you make? Like what, if you flipped a coin, did it land heads or tails?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know what I think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one.
You kind of can't help it. That's kind of the state of existing, is like life is meant to be lived first and meditated on second. I think the difference is that some people choose not to do the meditating piece, and so they just do the living piece, and they might be happier. I don't know.
I think if you replaced meditated with like thought or overthought, it would make more sense to me. Of like, obviously sometimes you just have to keep pushing forward and then maybe reflect on it later, but you can't think through every decision you make. Sometimes you don't have the time, you don't have the energy, you have to act.
Yeah.
Meditated is an interesting word in that context for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Feels like three different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
It's
packed
very
in there.
interesting
A lot
put together.
packed in.
100%.
I want to hear about what you put in here next. So this is from, tell us what it's from. Give us a little bit of background.
Man, I was on like an Instagram deep dive the other night. I was probably procrastinating. Really, that's really only when I use Instagram. I don't remember her name, and I should have put it in here to give her a shout out. I think her first name's Raine, Raine.
Okay.
Essayist, has like a paid Substack, all that stuff. But she had this essay called "Standing on the Shoulders of Complex Female Characters," and it was one of her like most read, most shared. And it's essentially this essay about how women specifically tend to use media characters or real life characters, people phenomena to represent who they are and how they're feeling. And I'll go into some quotes that stood out to me, but I wanted to bring this up because we talked a lot about like horoscopes, like personality tests, typecasting in general. And there is some comfort to that, right? Like you feel like you're part of a larger group. You feel like you're seen. You feel like you can really simplify who you are and how you are into this like this understandable like box. You're like, I'm not confusing. People know me. I am this type. But I also have always been bothered by when people are like, I am such a this girl or I am such a that girl. Like I don't really respond well to that. I don't like the idea of being.
What's it usually tied to? Like a brand or like a
brand, a character, a TV show, even like an author.
Okay.
And sometimes it represents like your fandom. You know, like I'm such a Coho girl. I'm not a Coho girl, but like, but I like some of her books. So it's like, to me, there's so much dimension now. Again, going back to like the lack of monoculture, like you really can't categorize people by one or two things. Yeah. This essay essentially expands on that. She talks about, it feels so good to be understood even when it's only as a character. This feeling is real because I have something to compare it to. Right. There's this one, she was talking about her depression, how she found herself comparing her experience to things she's seen in the media. She writes, I'm not unwell or self-destructive or entirely unbearable. I'm in my Fleabag era. We rationalize our own suffering through the romanticism of those who have suffered before us. And in turn, we provide a blueprint for the hot girl suffering. I fucking hate the hot girl thing.
Me
suffering
too.
Of those after. And it was also so interesting because she talks about how as like women, as females, a lot of times like our experience is either diminished or minimized because we're girls and a lot of things are taken for, like people just take a lot of our experience for granted. It's become very common for women online to express their identities through an artfully created list of the things they consume or aspire to consume. And because young women are conditioned to believe their identities are defined almost entirely by their neuroses, these roundups of cultural trends and authors du jour often implicitly served to chicly signal one's mental illnesses to the public. So instead of just like owning how we are, who we are, what's going on, we communicate. Like when I say I'm in my Fleabag era, I'm like, I fucking hate my life. I'm suicide. Like instead of being able to say that, they like use this language to communicate really what they're going through. And it's almost like a signal now to the right person. Like I've seen Fleabag. We've all seen Fleabag. You're like, whoa, like, are you okay?
Right.
But to like the general public, it's like a nice, like chic way of just saying like, I'm depressed.
Well, it's like we're all main charactering, you know? Like everybody's got to be a main character instead of just existing. Everybody's got to fit into a box of like, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that, which I get. It's a filtering mechanism, but also that's why we love artists so much, because they're so weird and different. They don't fit into boxes. And everybody's like, ooh, look at that. Different.
There was also a section about how, I'm just going to read it because it stood out to me. If I can compare myself to just the right amount of things, place myself at the nexus of enough edgy, vaguely feminist media properties, will that eventually start to feel like actualization? I wonder what romantic love would feel like if I'd never seen a romantic comedy, if I'd been allowed to figure out before a commoditized version was fed to me. I wonder what my own illness would feel like now as I put on mascara before crying, so I'll look the right amount of sad when I see myself in the mirror. I think about how nothing feels real at all if it doesn't look like the movies.
That is a very weird, very real sensation, though.
I literally like teared up because I was like, my depression looks different than what I see elsewhere, even with real people, like movies and media aside, like the folks that you can see in real life. And it's like, if I don't feel or look like I feel that way, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I actually depressed? Am I actually anxious?
Right. Yeah.
And this just really hit me because I was like, I had no idea people felt like that. I thought I was just trying to fit in these like boxes. And it just really hit me because I was like, do I really need these media properties, these vaguely feminist media properties to self-actualize, or can I just own it? Can I just be my version?
That's tough. I think about this too, even just with music. Like when you think about the way a music in a movie, for example, can stir up a certain emotion, it's like, do we feel that way because we heard that in the movie and we associate it there, or because it truly feels like that emotion? It's very chicken or egg.
It is.
And
I think it's probably both at different times. I don't know. This is so interesting to me. I've never really even thought about it, but I am somebody who does this, I think. I mean, I guess we all do to a certain extent, but I don't know. I enjoy doing it. Like, I enjoy being able to, and I guess this is more in the context of like mental illness, right? Or like signaling.
I think she was using it as like a conduit to discuss like all kinds of things.
Okay.
Like her experience was mostly through mental illness, but
social media in general, really. It's like, who am I? How do I present to the world?
Yeah. For me, sometimes relating to or like relating to a certain movie, I'm a, I don't know, hacks girl or whatever. Like the way I related to the episodes in the storyline of Ava like losing her dad, and then the whole second season of like taking his ashes around the country and like throwing them away behind a Taco Bell or whatever the fuck. Like just the like seeing that on screen and like having something to relate that experience to. And like I feel like that's why I just love TV, movies, books, because it does that. You can kind of collect little pieces of yourself and or understand yourself better. Yeah. I think that's what it feels like to me, is that when I'm kind of like putting on all these different jerseys, it's like helping me understand who I am, because it's like, oh, I really related to this. So like I like now I'm like I'm putting on that jersey because I'm so into it. But I don't know. I mean, I do think it can be used as, instead of trying to relate to people in a real way, you just have this kind of like mask on.
Yeah, see, that's what I keep thinking about.
I think about that a lot with like the horoscope stuff, because I love a good Taurus meme.
Sure.
Right. But it's like, I can share a million Taurus memes. It doesn't mean that that's going to help people understand me better necessarily.
Right.
So I get that it's like this weird balance, but I do see the value in it, because it's like, otherwise, what are we supposed to do? Like go around and truly like tell everybody we meet, like, hey, my dad died. And sometimes I think it's like, you can't do that.
Well,
really.
It's so weird because we all have billboards now with social media. We have these profiles where like, if somebody wants to get to know you, they will go to this place and there's your storyline. Yeah. There's the character you've built for yourself, whatever you're presenting. At least that's one way. That's not the only way. But I'm so resistant to that though. Like, I don't ever want to be one of those characters. And I talk about this a lot in therapy, but it's like, I'm so resistant to losing my sense of self. Like I really don't like the idea of being eclipsed or like losing myself in somebody else. So I'm very like, no, I don't want to do that. If somebody else is doing it, or if you tell me to do it, I don't want to do it. Yeah. And I don't know what that is or what that's tied to, but when I hear this and when I see this, it's hilarious, because the thing before is talking about Joan Didion, and I had a Joan Didion t-shirt on this morning. And I was just like, we all do it. It's a signal. It's a secret handshake. Yeah.
I think it's just all in the eye of I don't know if the beholder works in this like situation, but I see both sides, and I brought this to the table. I have feelings about it, but I understand both. Like, I think I came to understand a lot of my mental health issues through popular media, feeling that license, feeling that not approval, but just
permission,
or just, I felt seen. I was like, oh shit, like I'm not alone, or this happens. Like, and you have to think about like, why is art created in the first place, right? Like shared experience, like this situation with, what was Hacks? Is that a show?
Yeah, it's a TV show.
There's probably a lot of people that see that and know how that feels, or have like, they can relate to it. And like in that, you can relate to them. Like those shared experiences are so important and valuable, especially for emotions and experiences that are either hard to articulate or impossible to articulate. You just like can't bring it to the surface. It's just a pure emotion. But when people reduce themselves to like 5 things, I feel like that's just completely rounding out the edges.
Oh, for sure.
You're just like, your whole existence is through these like media properties. And what's going to happen is like, you will probably stop expanding because you're like, no, that's not in line with how I've already branded myself. Or people will start limiting you because of how you present. I'm just talking you generally. Yeah. So I've always like gone through these experiences privately for the sake that you are saying, because I don't want what you're saying to happen. Like I don't want people to label me, or to me even label myself. Like I feel like I just met myself like 2 years ago. I'm so protective of who I am now, and I don't want any kind of themes or brands or like patterns.
Let me figure it out myself.
I want the buffet of this like lack of monoculture. Like I love it because I'm like, I can be whoever and whatever the fuck I want to be. People who like live through these properties, I feel like they probably haven't found that yet. What like maybe
it's a really good way to escape not having a real personality, which is so bitchy to say, but it's like if you don't know who you are, the world will absolutely tell you who to be. They'll give you so many options to choose from.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel so like, no, don't tell me what to do. Like I love pop cultures. Like I love being like, oh, I relate so much with Jess from New Girl, how weird she is, and like. You know, Leslie Knope.
There are all these say like I'm a Jess.
Right. I would never be like I'm a blank girl.
Right. I don't do that either.
I just it feels very there's no nuance there. And it's an easy way to eliminate uncertainty if you're especially where you're meeting new people, because it's like here's who I am. Like here's the gist of it. And especially in that online like social media environment where it's attention spans are so short, it's a really easy way to like put people in buckets and filter.
You gotta understand people within like a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And those kind of labels really help. You're just like,
how bizarre
I get this
though,
person
because
now.
we're living two lives, not one.
I feel like this problem, I don't even know that it would really exist to the extent without social media. Yeah. I mean, because that is where we display all those signals.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in real life you would do it too, but you wouldn't be like wearing it all like a billboard, like you said in real life.
Because when you meet somebody, even if you connect on one specific thing, this person knows you're multidimensional.
Yeah.
You just have something in common.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely.
I do it a lot, but it's not always fun. I feel like when it backfired, or when something happened that I was like, I can't do this anymore. It was I used to always talk about Chili's. I would always make jokes about Chili's, like just because everybody knew that I like chain restaurants and they thought it was weird and quirky or whatever. So it was like that was like my thing. Like, oh, I joke about Chili's because people think it's funny. But then it was like literally, okay, now I'm the Chili's girl. And like,
was this before or after your pictures?
This was after. Okay. That made it a lot worse.
Yeah.
The pictures Allie's referencing, I took a few of my engagement pictures there, and then like it was a whole thing. But yeah, then it's like, oh, well, you're the Chili's girl. And so now people still will bring up, like, ask me about Chili's. When's the last time I went to Chili's? Or like buy me Chili's things. And it's just kind of like,
oh no.
Fuck.
And
like,
in the first place, it was kind of ironic. It seems like it was like a bit you were doing.
100%.
Yeah.
You did
100%.
like it, but you weren't like, I stand Chili's. You were just like, this is funny, you know, like this is a little something I do.
Yeah. But then it definitely turned into that. And that's happened to me with a few other things. I mean, definitely everybody knows that I like Taylor Swift. Like it kind of happens with that too.
Like, that's mild.
That's the danger, I guess, of wearing my jerseys.
Yes.
Like I like to wear my jerseys, but it does put you in a box and like you're labeled, and I will forever be the Chili's girl, even if I'd never go there again.
Shout out to Chili's if you want to sponsor this podcast. Chili's girl. Represent. You did her wedding. How about a podcast?
But yeah, I feel like that was the first time where I was like, ooh, I actually don't like how this feels to just be like.
Well, it's the trap of like having a persona, like being a character of yourself. And people talk about that with being social media influencers or being typecast as an actor. Yeah. Once you're in the box, it's really hard to get out. And then it creates that thing of like, people know you to be this one version of yourself, and that's not really how you are. And so if they see you and meet you and talk to you and you're not that version, it's disappointing and disorienting. Yeah. And so it feels very inauthentic. And it's like a trap that you set for yourself.
Has that ever happened to y'all? Like, because we're all very active on Twitter and stuff. Has that ever happened to y'all when you meet a real life, like a internet friend in real life? Like they were expecting a different version of you or something that happens?
Most of my, I'm not really active on Twitter anymore. I'm kind of, but like most of my Twitter usage in the past 4 to 5 years has been through professional like means or stuff about work. I'm a lot quieter in person than I think people think.
Yeah.
Like, and I think I come off as standoffish or even bitchy because my face. Literally had people say like, you resting bitch face. And like, we just met.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Get out of my face.
But like social, I mean, you're literally just you're shouting into the void. Like that has no representativeness of your personality or your
but what a weird
outgoingness.
Performative space. Like that didn't exist before.
I know.
There wasn't, you didn't have to do that. You just were who you were. There was no public billboard.
I know.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
That's why like I'm coming full circle into Tumblr and Reddit now.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't want anybody to know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm just going to talk to people. I this is a little bit different, but like when I was in high school and college, I had a lot of undiagnosed anxiety that I just chalked up to introversion. I didn't really understand it, like the introversion extroversion dichotomy, how it's not really representative of your like outgoingness. And I just was like, I don't like people. I don't want to be around people. I'm like introverted, et cetera, et cetera. And then now we've talked about this on the podcast before. I fucking love going out if I'm with the right people.
Right. It has to be the right people.
And even still, people from high school and college, sometimes even my mom will make jokes about like, oh, you're introverted. Like you probably don't want to come to this, or like you're the introverted girl and all this stuff. Not the same, but like similar in that like I labeled myself mostly so people would just leave me alone. And now I'm like different. I'm grown, changed. I hope I always will continue to grow, but definitely in your 20s, you change a ton. And I'm like, I don't like that people still like box me in on this.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. I hate
It happens within families too. Kind
yeah.
of like what you said of like, especially with a larger group of extended family of people who don't know you very well and don't follow you on social media.
Yeah.
So like I was always this dumb blonde. Like that was the role I got cast as a young kid. And as I got older, like my interests are like very like niche and weird. And like, I'm not a stupid person, but they would continue to do the bit. And I was always I would literally say like, I hate this bit. Why are we still doing this?
Yeah.
And they all were in on it. And it's like the narrative had gotten so big that I could not change it at that point. There was no shifting it because that's who I was.
Like if you didn't have the support or like the online support, you would probably have just accepted it.
Right.
There are probably a lot of
And what does that
people,
do to your personality?
Yeah. You just get stuck and you don't know that you have the power to change that or move away from that.
Yeah, it could become like a limiting belief where you're like, oh, well, I'm just a dumb blonde, so I can't do anything, so why even try?
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
I hear people talk about that's why you shouldn't call your kid like shy. Like you shouldn't, you're so shy.
I was called shy from very
Yeah.
young age.
Yeah, because then they're like, oh, I'm shy.
Were you shy?
I was shy. But
Sorry.
but was it because
were
I
you
was
really?
shy, or was it because my mom would always say that,
you're
and my
shy.
teachers would say that? You know, like
Yep.
I don't know. It is very interesting.
It's the same with academia too. Like I was a very good student, which is not a brag at all. I wish I wasn't a good student, and I hope my kids aren't excellent students either, because you're essentially just learning how to follow the rules and play the game.
Sure.
And I remember I got a certain ACT score in middle school, and it just became this whole thing. Like I was the schoolgirl, I was like the smart one, the good student, and I had to be.
It's a lot of pressure too.
It was the only thing I had to add. Like it was the only value I had to most people, or the only interesting thing, the only talking point.
Yeah.
And it became. I mean, I even wonder now if it's still the engine that's running behind the scenes.
Same. Yeah. Yeah. Because once somebody says good job and like calls you out for doing that, you're like, that felt pretty good. I got to keep getting that. Give me those points, gold stars. I like that.
100%.
Oof, man. Okay, what are we watching, reading, loving right now? I want to hear about the show you started.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give a little bit of background. I have done Orange Theory for 6 years, and I decided to stop last month. My migraines were coming back. It was like a whole thing. So I'm like kind of redesigning my exercise schedule now. I'm doing yoga and personal training, but I can't run because I have really bad knees. So I've been reading. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of rebounding. It's basically like a mini trampoline.
Yeah.
It's also really good for like your lymphatic system and your pelvic floor health.
Oh.
My mom was telling me about it. And so I got one, and it's kind of boring. You just like sit there and you balance. It's a really good workout, but like I wanted to find a show to watch. And I haven't had a show in months. I mean, Austin and I are watching Yellowstone, and I'll watch like a sitcom episode here and there when I'm doing laundry. And it was this super weird, like existential crisis. Like one night I was like scrolling Netflix and Hulu, and I would literally go Netflix, Hulu, Prime, Netflix, HBO. And I was like, I can't find shit. And I know I sound like I'm kind of complaining because there's like a gazillion options out there. They all look so shitty. They're like gimmicky, cheap. It's like basically like trying to find something good at H&M or like just cheap shit that's made for the sake of it. And I was just so bothered by it because I was like, I love TV shows. We've talked about TV here.
Yeah.
I just want a show, like the one that I can hang on to for a while, and I want it to be new because I'm not going to rewatch anymore.
Yeah.
Tried a couple shows, never stuck, felt like a waste of time. Came back around to Netflix and Supernatural popped up, which is a show that was recommended to me years ago because I was a huge Vampire Diaries fan. And like the same kind of vibe, like Supernatural, like kind of scary, creepy, but like not like horror.
Yeah.
Love the main actor, guys. I mean, the show started in 2005. So I finally started it and I'm hooked. And
Really?
I literally like, because it was made in the 2000s, I'm like, I know this is going to be good.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like Oscar worthy. Like I get
Right.
that, but like it has like 15 seasons. I'm like, oh, I got my next 6 months covered.
Oh,
Like I'm
that's
good.
absolutely
Season.
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
That show's been going on forever.
Yeah.
It's a show that never ends, really.
Is it?
It's kind of supernatural.
I think
I'll see myself out.
you're done.
Put her to bed.
I don't know. I'm probably overreacting to it all, but it really bothered me that I couldn't find a show. They were either like YA bullshit based on a book or like quick gimmicky bad comedies.
Yeah. Or terrible, terrible reality TV. There's 1 million of those.
I am not a reality TV person. The only reality TV show I'll watch is Love Island, and they don't have a new season for a while. So I felt stuck, but I started it and it's working for me. And because
Is it bounce worthy? Do you enjoy bouncing while you watch it? Or is it very slow?
I'm gonna kill you.
No, I'm serious. That's a sincere question I want to know. Because sometimes it's like really serious and you're like, I can't be bouncing.
I don't really pay attention to like, I don't need an upbeat show for an upbeat exercise. I more just need something to like build on and like look forward to. And like the time,
the ritual of it.
The length of the episode works because it's like a 45 minute episode and I wanted something longer. So I could just be like one episode a day.
So are you like double timing then? Are you like watching a program like for the rebounder and the show at the same time, or are you just like free bouncing on the trampoline? I'm not being an asshole. I really am trying to understand. I feel like
I'm just watching.
No, I was being serious.
I think that there's like exercises. It feels like kind of goofy to do them, so I probably won't. I'm just doing it as like a cross train for some of my other stuff, and to like I do it first thing in the morning, really, because I get like really puffy like eyes and stuff, and
So like get you going.
Yeah, it's like it's like this similar to like a 2 to 3 mile run. Like it's kind of the same. So it's just for the show. I probably won't do any exercises on it.
Nice.
But yeah, it was quite a crisis I had the other day. And I was like, why is nothing, this is why I don't watch TV. I just read.
Yeah. Well, and you talked about the nostalgia factor too, when we were talking about this earlier, of like no phones and they don't make shows like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's really changed a lot of storylines, which is sad.
Well, it reminds me too of like, I don't know if your parents have ever done this, of like, the good old like stuff back in the good old days. Like I think that's like our good old
happening.
days. Like the
Definitely.
2000s to like maybe 2013, 14 of like, to me, a show that's made in that time or at least started in that time, I know I'll like it to an extent.
Because you like the way that time period felt in your life.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because watching it, I'm like, they wouldn't be able to say that today.
So many things.
Oh my
but I don't really
gosh.
care.
It's not about that.
I don't care.
Yeah.
So
we all have learned and are doing better, but that's a slice of time that
it
it was recorded. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not making a case for it. It sounds like I am, but
bring it back. I'm just kidding.
God, what have I done? Okay, Gilmore Girls, Krista.
Yes. Speaking of, what's his name? Jared.
Yes.
Kaleigh?
Yep, Kaleigh.
So Kelly has never seen Gilmore Girls, so we started it. And I don't know, it made me think of our conversation a few months ago about like whether they're all terrible people or not.
Oh yes, I forgot about that already.
And so rewatching it, I don't think they are. They're annoying. I guess I'm only on season 3. But Lorelai, I don't think she's a terrible person.
I think she's trying her best.
She's trying her best. She's funny.
She messes up.
Yeah.
But that makes her relatable, you know? We talked about that.
Exactly. But it was just interesting because before I started rewatching it, like I had this idea of it all in my head that they were all just like super terrible people. Like I when we talked about that, I was like, yeah, they all suck. But then rewatching, I'm like, actually, they're delightful.
They're delightful. They talk so fast. But
yeah, like it's just such a cozy watch. It's like the perfect thing to rewatch.
Well, and it's kind of like one of those shows that you rewatch and you discover new things every time because there's so much dialogue every episode and there's so much pop culture reference that like sometimes you learn something in between watches and you're like, this makes sense now. I love that experience of that clicking in of like, oh, I get it now.
Exact same. Yeah. That's happened a few times rewatching it. I still hate Dean. I can't with Dean.
What's the rub with Dean?
Dean, he's just a whiny little bitch. Like he just
tell us how you really feel.
He just is.
They're high schoolers. What do you expect?
I get
they both suck when they're in high school.
And she's annoying too. She is
such a little baby voice. It's like
I know. There's just been several episodes where he is like so possessive or something, like, and just whines about the dumbest shit. I don't know. If he were my partner, he would get on my goddamn nerves. Jess is in the picture now. I'm very curious to see if my opinion changes about Jess.
What's your opinion again?
Bad.
He does suck.
So you're in like season 3?
Season 3. So he is like fresh on the scene.
Yes.
Little asshole to everybody.
Angry at the world.
Angry at the world. And that is the picture I have of him in my head always. So as the seasons go, I'm interested to see if I like Jess more.
Yes.
Because I still hate Dean.
And you haven't met Logan yet, which you'll meet Logan.
I haven't met Logan.
I'm so curious to see where you land on these 3 dudes.
Oh, I know Logan. I've like watched the show before. Kelly's never watched the show.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You were on the podcast.
Yes.
For Gilmore Guys. Did you ever listen to that? Okay. That's a whole other.
But yeah, I actually liked Logan. Like Logan was an asshole too.
Do you like Logan?
No.
I don't like Logan.
My favorite was Jess.
Me too.
Of course.
Why do you like Logan?
Because he actually had a personality.
Yeah,
and
it was money.
Yeah.
That was his personality.
No, it wasn't.
Preppy rich boy.
Maybe my opinion will change.
I hope so.
Maybe it'll change. Kaylee's so mad.
Bong.
I just can't get behind, like, watching Jess be a total
He is a total asshole.
Dick
Yeah,
to Rory,
it sucks.
her mom, Luke, everybody.
Who's trying to help him. All these people who are trying. Yeah,
And I'm
it's
just like,
infuriating. He's
why
awful.
Every girl in America jizz in their pants over this little, like,
Your
tuft
tweet
of
said
hair.
it all because he had a book in his back pocket. That's the whole thing.
God. Girls are so stupid.
It gets better. It gets better.
Okay, I am curious.
He has ways to go.
And I am open.
He's my favorite in the reunion.
Me too.
I will
He's
say,
the only one that like told her do what you want for the right. Like he's the only genuine person that's not. I don't know. Even his like assholishness in his younger years is just
they're
him
equals.
being himself.
Yeah, he treats her as an equal.
Yes, and he challenges her.
Yes, whereas
Dean just possesses
Logan
her
was always
and
like,
Logan, like,
I'm richer, like I'm the playboy.
Logan wants to control her.
Yeah, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yeah.
Dean was like, please love me.
Yeah.
Like they were never gonna be on the same level. So yeah, I like that they're equals.
I will say I agree there, which is why I'm interested to see like where. Like what happens in the middle of all that?
And he doesn't have a lot of screen time after this season 3.
No.
Okay,
so
I know
it's
comes
limited
back when she's in college.
Just briefly though, it's super short.
I did hate Logan in the reunion episodes. I will say that.
I did not like the reunion.
Great material with Logan's character throughout the show, especially season 7. Which I know is controversial because that was the season that like they made without the Palladinos, the Sherman Palladinos, but because the writer's strike was happening. But
yeah,
I don't know. I liked it.
Also, I'm just started the last season of New Girl.
Oh wow, you're burning through them.
What did you think about the time jump? I feel like it's kind of controversial.
I didn't love it.
I don't like. Same with Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I don't love it. It doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same
It was
quality.
nice to see the girl. Is it Rose? The daughter,
the kid.
Yeah, it was nice to see her like an actual character, not just like a blob. Mm-hmm. But it was jarring for the 3 years.
It's always jarring because I'm like, I want to see the character. I'd rather just see the character development.
Yeah,
like I don't want to just like skip all these years and all of a sudden they're all kind of different.
Yeah, you have the sensation that you missed a lot.
Yeah,
and then you're expected to just sink back in.
I'd rather just not see them in the future at all.
Yeah.
Like just
You saw the birthday party, the mustache, the coming back
I'm
from
pretty.
the book
I'm
tour.
pretty early. Yeah, I think I'm only on like episode 3 or 4 maybe. But yeah, I'm gonna be sad when
Thankfully,
it's over.
they kept all the characters kind of the same. There's like different quirks to them.
Yeah,
I felt like Parks and Rec. They really changed. Like the characters were like different.
They were.
later.
They felt different. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
They weren't as predictable. Like, I feel like you kind of learn a character's algorithm and you can kind of predict what they're going to say. And there's some comfort to that. And like, it's the bucket thing again. It's like, oh, I know what to expect from this person. And when they veer off that course, it's disorienting for the watcher.
A time jump I didn't fully mind was when One Tree Hill did it.
Oh, yeah.
They jumped what?
They did that pretty well. Yeah. So they're like out of college.
Yeah.
Basically young adults.
I don't know. The only rub I have with it is that the jump puts them at I think 22 or 23, and they all like are their
wildly
lives
successful.
Yeah, I'm just like,
come on.
Yeah, you could have at least done 10 years, but yeah, they did it pretty well. I think.
Yeah. I'm about to finish Mad Men. I'm almost done. But I started watching the newest season of Fargo. Have you guys ever watched this?
No.
I think it's FX. So I've watched 2 of those so far, and this is the most recent one that also has John Hamm in it. I watched the first episode. It was so good. So good. Oh, and the other movie I just watched recently, it's the Wild, oh no, now I'm going to get it's not Mystic River. It's the Meryl Streep, she's in a canoe. It's about a river. River Wild.
River Wild?
River Wild. The remake has the guy from the OC. Oh gosh, the names I'm suffering with here.
Adam
Brody and his wife, Leighton Meester.
Okay.
Which I didn't know they were husband and wife.
Yeah.
Not the best.
It was so well done.
Interesting.
It was such a fun time. I thought it was excellent.
This is a movie?
A movie, a remake of it. Again, another remake, but really fun. Like
where at? Like
I think it's on streaming somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't heard it talked about anywhere, but it's a thriller and it was so good.
Is it new?
I think it's just came out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
It's really good.
I would love to
Easy
watch
watch. It was like
together.
90 minutes.
Okay.
It was a fun time. Good acting too.
I'm
Surprisingly
loving
good.
this return we're seeing to 90-minute movies.
Oh, please don't make them longer than
Just
that.
give me an hour and a half. Like
I don't have
need
3
some
hours.
2.5. Yeah.
To sit. And my neck hurts if I sit for that long in the movie theater. That's another thing about watching it in a theater is, you can't
do you have
move
like the
around.
lounging seats?
Yeah, but even then, I can't sit still for that long.
Yeah.
I get stiff. Anyways, I'm 100. Okay, lightning round, 2 to 3 fun questions. So since we're talking about the early 2000s, what's the first concert you ever went to? I'm guessing that's probably when it happened. I don't know. You were probably like 8 in the early 2000s, so maybe not, but.
Born in 94.
Allie gets so mad when we bring up
I
her
know.
age.
I also am like, is this relevant? And is what I'm saying making sense? Anyways, first concert.
Mine was Reba. Reba McEntire.
You're in your Reba era right now.
I am.
The meme.
Don't box me in, Kaleigh.
I'm sorry.
I know
You're
everything
not.
I need to know about you because you went to Reba as your first concert. I don't need to know anything else.
Yep, that's it. That's it. What about
Mine
you?
was Journey.
Ooh.
Oh.
Where? That's the second part. Where did you see this person at?
Freedom Hall in Louisville, the old U of L basketball before they built KFC.
So who'd you go with?
My family.
Nice.
It's Journey and Heart.
Did you like it? Did you have a fun time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Floor or seats?
Like up on the side
Okay.
seats. Yeah, but it wasn't very big.
Okay.
So we really got to. They had the new lead singer, obviously. He's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Does he sound like
He sounds just like him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What a good combo.
Yeah.
I would love to see.
Oh yeah, it was great.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
So much vibing going on.
Yeah.
Who'd you go with and where did you see her
I
at?
went with my parents. We just somewhere in Louisiana. I don't know. I was in elementary school, so I like barely even remember it.
Did you
But-
ask to go to this concert or did they just take you along with
No.
them?
Oh, I asked to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was actually because they felt bad because they went to see Whitney Houston and they didn't take me. So then they
Who
took
we
me
danced
to
to
Reba.
so hard last night.
I know.
You guys don't even know. You don't even know.
You don't even know. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, they didn't take me to Whitney, so they
Okay.
took me to Reba. Which I love that I got to see Reba, but God damn, I didn't get to see Whitney.
I know.
R.I.P.
Ugh, that's a tough one. Well, mine was Christina Aguilera at the State Fair. I thought for sure one of you would say like at a fair would be your first concert.
Mine was like an arena.
I did go to a lot at the Kentucky State Fair, but it was after that.
State Fair was like always, I feel like that.
I saw Luke Bryan for free at the State Fair.
Nice.
It's just like early pre-sellout Luke Bryan.
Yeah.
Pre-sellout.
It's true. Okay, what is your go-to hangover food? No reason.
Let the record
Krista?
show that I added this question today because I was hungover.
Hashtag relevant.
All day.
Okay.
Related to the Whitney Houston dancing.
Right. Tie it all together.
Yeah. Do y'all know yours?
I like never have a hangover.
Okay. Brag.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's a control thing.
Yes.
It's a control thing. I don't like to feel out of control. I don't know, probably Mexican, honestly. That's the only thing that ever always sounds good. Like when I'm sick, I have the flu or a cold, that's one thing I can always eat. Like, no doubt.
Mine's like a big old greasy breakfast.
Ooh, that
like
would destroy
pancakes.
me. I couldn't do it.
Pancakes.
I can't do it on a normal day.
Sausage, eggs, toast.
Do you have to cook it, though?
Austin will cook it for me.
See, that's part of it. That's why I asked, because it tastes better
Or we'll
when
order
somebody else
it,
makes it.
But I don't like delivered breakfast because it's like
cold.
45 minutes later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is just not the same experience.
Mine is similar, but it's everything you just said, but I order it from McDonald's. So like a greasy McDonald's breakfast is usually
So, like,
my
what sandwich are we talking?
McGriddle.
I'll either do the big breakfast that they have, which is like a biscuit, eggs, sausage, hash brown. Or I'll just do like a good old sausage and cheese biscuit. And now I want one right now. My mouth is watering.
Okay, final question. Do you have any recurring dreams or nightmares? I'm sure you do. Everybody does.
Who
Yes.
put this?
I did.
Kaleigh did.
Why?
I have one. It was on a list. There was no particular reason, and I was like, oh, I want to hear what their answers are. So I guess I can go first.
Yeah.
Mine is always the related to control issues. Mine is always the car where the brakes don't work and you're coming to a stoplight or a stop sign and you can't stop.
Oh.
And I think part of the reason is one of the cars that I drive has very like not touchy brakes, and so that physical experience happens a lot where I feel like I'm not going to stop in time for the stop sign, and then it's lodged in my brain somehow.
Oh my gosh,
but that happens
that's
all
scary.
the time. All the time.
I don't have like a teeth falling out or showing up naked to
really?
school. Or I have very, very like real feeling dreams about like situations that are going on. So like with work, if there's something with a client or
Like you're working
when I
through
had
it while you
to
sleep.
let somebody go the night before, just on repeat, dreaming about that conversation and it going
Interesting.
all kinds of wrong way. 100% stress dreams, but they're usually pretty specific to things going on, not
Okay.
like a generic
Got it.
scene.
Yeah. Interesting. My stress dream is always I'm in high school and it's the end of the school year and I realize that there's a whole like a class that I just haven't been going to. And so
I
I'm
have
gonna fail.
I have a similar one too.
It's so stressful and it
It's super
feels
stressful.
so real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is that I was supposed to go to
gosh.
dance classes and the recitals happening and I don't know any of the steps.
Oh
so
my
it's the same
God.
thing,
Yeah,
but
my
different
gosh.
contexts.
Yeah.
all the time. And I've heard other people have that one a lot too. I've heard
Yeah.
at least 2 other people say they have
It's
that.
very
Preparedness
weird
thing.
that there's like stress dreams that people like the teeth falling out. Like how do our brains just all do that? It's so weird.
What is that?
But I also have recurring dreams. Sometimes I can like lucid dream, so I can like control what I'm doing in the dream. And
Fun.
Inception.
I have a flying one a lot, and I can control like where I like how
Interesting.
high I go and like where I go. And then there's one that I used to have, and I haven't had it in a really long time, and I really wish I still had it. But whenever I was young, our house burned down, and so for a really long time, like in high school and college, I would have a dream that I was back in the house, and I could like hang out, I could like touch stuff, I could like I could just be there.
That's cool.
And it felt so real. It's like a lucid dreaming thing where I was like actually there walking around and like looking at stuff. But I haven't had it in a while, and that was always like really fun to have.
Yeah.
That's so
I love a good
sweet.
lucid dream.
Yeah.
They only happen for me like if I've slept in late and then I fall back asleep again early in the morning.
Yeah.
That's when they happen for me. Anyways, that's it.
Yeah, man. All right. We did
A lot of topics. Good talk.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers. One
Cheers
final
with
cheers.
water. More bad luck.
Yeah. Oh, yay.